You will find it on almost every table, at almost every celebration in the world. A wedding toast, a quiet drink after a long day. But there is a hidden, violent cost sitting inside that glass. This data shows the scale of the impact. Roughly 3 million people die every single year from alcohol-related causes. That is a higher death toll than all modern wars and acts of terrorism combined. For 10,000 years, alcohol has been at the center of human life, bonding families and fueling art, while simultaneously killing more people than any conflict in history. To understand our relationship with this liquid, we have to go back to the Middle East, over 10,000 years ago. Before the invention of the wheel and long before writing, early humans found that wild fruit and grain could accidentally turn into something intoxicating. At ancient archaeological sites in modern Turkey, we find massive stone vessels used for ritual feasts. This evidence supports a theory called beer before bread. It suggests that we may have first cultivated wild grain, not for food, but to brew beer for these communal ceremonies. The drive to reliably produce a drink that altered human consciousness may have been what first pinned us to the land, inspiring the first permanent fields and the very first villages. In the ancient world, fermentation was a survival tool. Because the process killed dangerous microorganisms, a weak beer was safer than water. In Egypt, laborers building the pyramids were issued daily rations of over 4 liters of thick, nutritious beer to keep them hydrated and fed. This brewing process was entirely natural. Microscopic yeasts land on sugary fruit or grain, consuming the sugar and releasing alcohol as a byproduct. But nature built a limit into this chemistry. As the alcohol concentration rises, the environment eventually becomes toxic to the yeast itself. Once the liquid reaches about 10% alcohol, the yeast dies, and brewing stops. For millennia, humans and alcohol lived in a biological equilibrium. We had beer and wine, but nature effectively capped how potent those drinks could become. In the 8th century, the same Islamic world that forbade drinking alcohol was refining the very chemistry of it. Alchemists in cities like Baghdad studied the substance for medicine and perfume, inadvertently changing its potency forever. They used distillation. By heating a fermented liquid, they could capture the alcohol-rich vapor and condense it back into a liquid. This bypassed the biological limit of yeast, creating a highly concentrated spirit. This technology eventually reached European monasteries, where monks distilled strong herbal aqua vitae. Originally a rare medicine, it became a common recreational escape during the 14th century, as people sought a way to numb the trauma of the Black Death. By replacing biological fermentation with industrial chemistry, we turned a natural byproduct of food into a mind-altering chemical concentrate. The social consequences were immediate. During the London gin craze of the 1720s, cheap, high-proof spirits flooded poor neighborhoods. For the first time, people could become severely intoxicated from a single cup, leading to a public health crisis that saw death rates climb. Distilled alcohol soon became a global currency. In the Caribbean, enslaved workers produced the molasses that was shipped to New England and distilled into rum. That rum was then sailed to Africa and traded directly for more enslaved human beings. In North America and Australia, European traders used high-proof spirits as a tool of colonization. They routinely supplied alcohol to indigenous leaders to secure treaties, leading to land cessions and the systematic dismantling of those communities. Distillation changed the stakes. The same substance that helped form early communities was now concentrated into a tool for colonial domination and economic exploitation. By the 19th century, the damage caused by spirits led to a massive backlash. The temperance movement argued that alcohol was destroying families, and they pushed for the government to outlaw the substance entirely. In 1920, the United States attempted a bold social experiment: prohibition. The 18th Amendment banned alcohol nationwide, but while the law removed the legal supply, it did nothing to stop the demand. That demand created a massive black market. It turned small-time bootleggers into fabulously wealthy criminal empires, with figures like Al Capone earning the equivalent of $100 million a year. American cities were soon poisoned by corruption and extreme violence as rival gangs fought for control of the illegal spirit trade, culminating in public massacres that horrified the nation. Simply banning a substance that is both chemically addictive and deeply entrenched in our culture doesn't eliminate the harm. Usually, it just trades the dangers of the drug for the dangers of organized crime. Today, alcohol is a trillion-dollar industry and a major source of tax revenue for governments. We market it as a symbol of our national cultures, even as it contributes to 3 million deaths every year. When you look at a drink today, you are looking at the result of 10,000 years of history. It connects a modern celebration directly back to Egyptian rations, alchemical experiments, and prohibition turf wars. The next time you share a drink, remember that you are holding the descendant of a Sumerian goddess, a medieval medicine, and a colonial currency. It is a fluid that helped define our species, even as we struggle with its cost.